Hello, good morning everybody. So Braintree is a little bit of a specialist subject for me, seeing as though I'm the chair of the Braintree Town Partnership, and I've also lived in Braintree all of my life. So Braintree. So when I say Braintree to everyone, generally the first thing, and I'm talking about specifically about the town centre, the first thing that pops into people's heads is charity shops. Yeah. Okay, if it's not charity shops, then it's probably going to be Turkish barbers or hairdressers of some sort. Yeah. Or if it's not that, then it will certainly be estate agents. Okay, so that's kind of summing Braintree up. Nestled in between these shops, we have these ones, which are the vacant shops, and it's unfortunate, but this isn't an issue that's specific for Braintree. Okay, this is an issue that is spreading right across the whole of our country because our high streets are dying. If you speak to people, the seasoned people in the room that may have lived locally or certainly know Braintree well, then they'll remember these good old days. The days where we had fishmongers, we had butchers, we had too many clothes shops, Andy's Records, Our Price. Literally, if you lived in or around Braintree, you didn't really need to venture out. But that was generally how most towns supported its community through its town centre. Unfortunately, it will never be the same again. And it's incredibly sad to say, but it's a simple fact. And it's about time, I think, that really as a country that we kind of acknowledge that our town centres will not go back to that. So basically, from 1985 to 2019, to put it bluntly, we've been fighting a losing battle. There's been organisations up there, and I'm sure many of you have heard of them, such as Braintree Chamber of Trade and Commerce, but there's lots of different guises such as that in all the different towns across the country. And the reason they've been fighting a losing battle, and it is a little bit sad because a huge amount of time has been wasted, but the reason they've been fighting this losing battle is quite simply, and we're all fully aware, supermarkets, the internet, and the sort of the birth really of the retail area, and that these three entities have kind of drawn out of our town centres, and they've meant that our town centres have turned into what they've turned into. So what do we need to do? Okay, we need to move on. Okay, we need to accept that our town centres will never be the same, and they'll never be the same as what they once were, which is incredibly sad. We need to rethink. So we need to rethink the offering, because at the end of the day, our town centres are like businesses, and so we need to reevaluate what the offering is and think what do our residents or the vicinity, what do they need, and what's the future sort of town going to look like, and we need to get to work. What I've found, certainly with certain previous organisations, is there's a huge amount of talking, and there's a lot of, well, we need to do this and we need to do that, but actually there's not really very much action. And any actions that are born, you go to the next meeting, it's like, oh yeah, no, I didn't get around to doing it, or they're frantically rushing to get it done the night before, and so progress really isn't forthcoming. So I can't really see what's next on the thing, so I'm kind of doing this. Let's look at our starting point. Okay, so this is the starting point, and I am talking, whilst this is a national issue, I'm specifically talking about Braintree and where we are with Braintree. Okay, so Braintree District Council are heavily supporting a transition of the town centre, and you'd expect them to do so as well. Okay, but what I think, where I think we are is because of the issues that we've got financially across the country. There's a lot of issues local issues that we need to take on board and we need to deal with ourselves. Okay, so if you take, for example, knife crime in London, because of the lack of policing, because of the issues we've got, there has to be community groups that kind of step in, and yeah, they might be unpaid and it might be voluntary, but we can't, if we just sit back and do nothing, nothing will change. And so we've all got a duty, especially if it's our town, especially if you do live locally, to sort of step in. But Braintree District Council are very much in support, and the reason they're in support is back in 2016 they appointed a company called Design South East. Design South East came in, they undertook 5 workshops, and these 5 workshops looked at what our town is, what it once was, but kind of got an idea, and they spoke to planners, councillors, residents, and basically all the different arms of the town to find out and put a plan together for Braintree Town Centre. They come up with, one of the things they come up with many things, but one of the things they come up with is an idea of having an organisation that sits outside of the council, that's not council-led, and actually to drive forward and to try and to support the town centre in the transition, because that's what the town is. We're transitioning from what I showed you, those black and white pictures, to what it's going to look like in the future, and we don't exactly know what that looks like at the moment. So this organisation is going to be doing that. Now, if we take it right back and we look at Braintree, as a town, okay, where it's sat geographically. So we've got Stansted Airport just 20 minutes because of the new A120. It's not new anymore, is it? But the A120, we're literally 15, 20 minutes away from Stansted Airport. So we've got fantastic international links. We've got the M11, so you can be in London within sort of 45, 50 minutes if you put your foot down. We've got Chelmsford Racecourse, so to give us kind of a little bit of national exposure. We've got Chelmsford, so if you want to go out and you want to go to somewhere and you want to spend your money and you want to buy some clothes but you don't want to do it on the internet, we've got Chelmsford, okay, because that's not Braintree, that's Chelmsford. We've of course got Freeport as well that sits with that, and I'll come to them, Braintree Village, sorry, not Freeport. I'll come to them in a minute. But then we've also got the railway station. We're right at the end of the line, admittedly, but we have got the railway station that goes straight into London, Liverpool Street, and then of course we are 5 minutes pretty much in any direction with beautiful countryside. So actually, geographically, Braintree is positioned in a really, really good place. If we were sitting right up in the corner of East Anglia, I wouldn't be standing in front of you now, because in the truth of it, those towns up there have got their own struggles. But for Braintree, I think geographically we're sat in a fantastic position, okay? So if we move around that and then we look at the town itself, we've got some, it's an old, very, very old market town. And so we've got some fantastic architecture, and I would urge anyone to walk through the town and just look up. So don't necessarily look at the shops at ground level, look up and look at some of the old historic buildings. St Michael's Church, I drive past that church probably every single day. It is an incredibly beautiful church, okay? But we kind of just ignore it because certainly the people that live in Braintree, you just take it as a given, but you're just happy moaning about these Turkish barbers and these estate agents. But actually, we've got some beautiful, beautiful buildings in the town centre. And then we look at the shops that are actually struggling in the town centre at the moment, but they are just keeping their head above water. We've got the Natural Way, which has got a little vegan cafe right at the back of it, okay? They're banging out some fantastic vegan cakes, stews, and different bits and bobs like that. We've got Manzi's, pie and mash shop. Good old British. I know when this first came into the town, I heard people moaning, going, "Oh, it's disgusting, it's awful." I'm like, "That's pie and mash," right? And it's a really, it's a really cool, quirky little pie and mash shop. Okay, we've got Biscuits, which is a coffee shop that used to be Cool Beans. You've got Dell and his missus, and they run that. And if you go in there, it is so quirky. It's really, really cool. You've got Blast, which sits above. It sits just above Costa, which has got loads of magazines, comics, records, and loads of different kind of quirky paraphernalia in there. We've got this Thai restaurant. Who's been to this Thai restaurant? It is absolutely on point. I've been to many a Chinese in my time, been to many a Thai. This is absolutely it is a winner. Okay. Got a little glasshouse tea room. You've got my restaurant, award-winning, fantastic food. But this is not a sales pitch. Okay, you've got Scrummy, so they make all their cakes first thing in the morning. So when you go in there, their bread and butter puddings, that is all made in their shop. Flirtations, a little kind of quirky, independent florist. Bronze, if you want to go and get a fake tan. Casper's Desserts, okay. You've got Crops, so right up at the end of the high street on the right-hand side, opposite the milkshake shop. You've got this girl, Millie, that works in there. Literally, you could pull it out of Shoreditch and drop it straight. You could put it straight into Shoreditch and it'd fit in, okay. It's a really, really cool little hairdressers. On the other side of the road, you've got the milkshake shop. Their milkshakes are off the charts. So whilst we can sometimes be so focused on the negatives, we're looking at the estate agents, we're looking at the vacant shops. Actually, there are some businesses that are doing well. I mean, they're having it away, to be fair, the milkshake shop. I've often thought about setting up my own one. But there's lots of shops and there's lots of businesses in the town that are actually doing well, okay? And that's just our starting position, all right? So what's next, okay? So if we take this shop, this is a vacant shop, one of the ones that I was talking about that's particularly ugly and unsightly. There's Blast Comics, by the way, that I just mentioned. And we've done that to it. Okay, and this is part of the Braintree Town Partnership. Oh look, it's my restaurant again, but I'm not advertising that. But the reason that I paid for that for my restaurant is because I thought to myself, we need to get the ball rolling, and it's a great way of advertising, and it's also a great demonstration to show what the rest of the shops in town could be like. So at the moment I'm talking to Jocelyn Chase, I'm talking to George Yard, I'm talking to, there's probably about another 3 or 4 businesses who are really keen to partner with the Braintree Town Partnership and get those vacant, ugly shop fronts and get them redone to look in something like this, okay? And so when you end up with a situation with these cool little quirky shops, and these nestled in between, suddenly the eye is not going to be focusing on the negativity. All right. As part of the Braintree Town Partnership, we are also working with George Yard, the museum, the market, and the town itself, and Braintree Village. So for the first time, okay, which is absolutely crazy, but for the first time, we're working with Braintree Village. Okay, and so we've now got like a symbiosis going on, whereby we're having things like, we had a dinosaur trail a couple of months ago, where the dinosaur trail went round the town, but it also, you jump on the bus and you go up to Braintree Village and you go around there to finish the trail, okay? So we're working with them with lots and lots of things going on in the pipeline, but they've got their own challenges going on at the moment because they are actually looking to take on, which is a massive task admittedly, but they're looking to take on Bicester and to be one of the best outlet villages in the country. So that's why if you go there, you'll see the huge amount of work that's going down at the south side of it all. But the reason that you're not hearing about it is because what they're doing, which I think is a very sensible approach, is what they're doing is they're getting it right first, then they're marketing it. Okay, so that's, you'll see Freeport Braintree's marketing used to see on the TV. You'll see that that's died right down now. You won't see anything at all because they're getting their ship right, and then they're going to start marketing it all. But we're working collectively together. And then there's just a few things like the £100 million investment in the district for Horizon 120. So where you've got Tesco's. How am I doing for time, by the way? I think I'm all right now. Yeah. Cool. I'm nearly done.
8 minutes.
8 minutes. Oh, cool. Oh, lovely. I'll slow down.
No, you've got good questions.
So we've got so where you've got Tesco's up at Great Notley, on the other side of the road there's a huge amount of land that's been acquired by the council, and they're looking to develop. I mean, so looking, it's going to happen. Develop it into a tech hub. Okay, so it's like they're looking at it as like white collar tech, and there's certain people saying the Silicon Valley of East Anglia. I'm not sure if that's a little bit too getting ahead of themselves, but at the same time, the appetite is there. One of the things that I do know is that they're going to have the first electric petrol station in the UK there, which is going to be solely for electric charge.
Not petrol station.
Yeah, well,
know what you mean.
I was going to say charging station, but I thought it'd be just better for the room, they'd understand it better.
Well said.
But yeah, charging station. And so that's incredibly exciting, okay? Then you've got the £675 million, which the government have set aside for, and they've named it the Future High Street Fund. And that is where the governments have acknowledged the issues that we've got in our town centres, okay? And so they've set this money aside, and Braintree have put in a very strong application to try and draw on some of that money. We've got the pedestrianisation of the high street. Now for me, this is huge, and I'll tell you, I'm just going to spend a minute on this, and I'll tell you why this is huge. So I'm a massive advocate of pedestrianising the high street. You speak to some of the sort of the older generation, they're all like, no, we should put traffic through it. Look at Houston, look at Sudbury. You know, they've got towns that aren't doing too bad. But actually, what pedestrianisation of our high street does is it gives us a USP, okay? It takes us away, so we're not a Sudbury, we're not a Dunmow, we're nothing like that. We have a big open space that sits in the middle of the town, okay, where we can start doing things. And what's exciting for me is the Braintree Town Partnership has a sort of a 6, 7, 8 year plan, and my dream is that in sort of 6, 7, 8 years' time, we'll be living, or somebody will be living in, say, Bishop Stortford, and they say, what should we do this weekend, darling? What's going on in Braintree? Let's see what's going on in Braintree, because every Saturday, every Friday night, every Sunday, something is going on in Braintree Town, whether it be the street food markets, which some of you may have seen, which go on at the last weekend of the month, whether it's a big, huge cinema screen put straight into the centre of the town, serviced by all the shops and the coffee shops around it, putting on, I don't know, something from the Royal Opera House, maybe Carmen from the Royal Opera House or something like that, screened live in the centre of the town. Whether it be vintage markets, antique markets, car shows, whatever it might be, that's all focused into the centre of town. And that's what the appetite is with the Braintree Town Partnership and with the council to pedestrianise the high street. So that's why I'm an advocate of that, because that gives Braintree its USP. You've then got the Manor Street development, so you've got a big hotel, travel lodge, and it's not your typical ugly looking travel lodge, it's actually quite an attractive one. Going in the middle of the town, that's going to bring people in. Braintree Village's ambition, which I touched on a minute ago, and then you've also got the A120 extension. So what we've seen between Braintree and the M11, we're going to see something similar from Braintree through to Colchester, and then you've got the slip roads that are going to be coming off of the A120 to go into Braintree Village, which prevents that horrendous tailbacks that we have on the A120 every night. And that's that. So that's the Braintree Town Partnership. I know this isn't a sale pitch, but we are looking for people to kind of jump on board and support the town. It can't really be a sales pitch because I don't get paid and I don't earn any money, so it's impossible. But our next meeting is on Tuesday, the 1st of October. It's at 6 o'clock. It's in the town hall. We have got, we've got other strategies and bits and bobs going on. And the more of you, certainly that's local and you touch on the town, that can come along and support, even if you can come along and you can just take one thing away that will just take, half an hour, that will be a massive, massive help. Because if we can all come along, maybe do an hour, 2 hours a month, and we've got a room full of 30, 40 people, we'll be making some huge amount of changes in the town. And that's that. Well, so that's my...